We don't talk about money or sex in America.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Drew on the Money-ish Show, and I want you to welcome my very next guest, Mr. Austin Zaback. Austin Zaback, come on up, buddy. Dude, I'm glad you came.
Hey, I
Thanks
appreciate you having me on. Yeah, thank you.
And you got, we're gonna talk about your style.
All right.
Because you've got some mad style here.
Okay.
And not many people can pull off your style, I think. And
really?
Yeah, you got the unique suit, but no socks and
yeah.
Are they called tennis shoes or?
Yeah, I guess you would call them tennis shoes or probably tennis shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
just like regular
tennis shoes, but you still got the hanky for the classiness side, dude. But you got the shirt with no collar.
Yep.
It's a good style, man. You get your suits made?
I do. Yeah. I've got a guy. He does them. It's all Italian.
Everybody's got a guy, dude.
Yeah.
I got a guy.
Yeah, got a guy.
And yeah, right on, bro. So you get them all made. You wear suits all the time?
No, not even close. Probably really just a winter thing for me.
Okay.
Obviously I live in Arizona, right? So half the year,
hot,
I'm wearing a
scorching.
T-shirt and
the least amount of clothes. You
Exactly.
can get on your body, right?
Exactly. If I could go to the office naked, I would. Right?
Yeah. So you wear them in the winter time on shows and so forth. And then your partner Austin, who was on the show as well, has the crazy style. Like has I call it the Carol Baskin shirt on today, dude. He had the the cheetah leopard shirt on or whatever it was, right? And two totally different styles, but you guys are partners on all kinds of business adventures, right? Building your brands. You got the ATM business. I want to dive a lot about this ATM, how you guys kind of cornered this little niche market. I heard you guys like one of the fastest growing ATM machine or ATM businesses out there, right?
Yeah.
And you guys had some articles done on you about how fast you guys were growing.
Yep.
And so I want to talk about ATM machines with you on the show as well. And then, of course, you're building, both of you guys are building your brands, personal brands as well. Mm-hmm. I get along with you guys so well because your brands are like, you totally get the idea of branding and influence and eyeballs into it. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I really want to spend some time on this ATM machines you guys got. And you got the real estate side.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And you've been in real estate actually for a while. You've been in real estate. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the wholesale business with Austin as well, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of this stuff with you. Before we get started into it, back me up a little bit. What was it like growing up, Austin Zaback?
Yeah.
What was it like growing up?
I mean, to keep it really short and simple, I probably when I was about 7 years old, I moved in with my grandparents.
Okay.
Give or take, my grandparents always kind of took care of me when I was growing up, even when I was like a little bitty kid.
Yeah.
Just because my parents never really wanted kids.
Oh, wow.
So when I was obviously I didn't know that till later on in life.
Sure.
But when I was little, it was just one of those things where, not that they didn't love me or anything, but they totally in their own way probably loved me. They just didn't, my dad didn't want to spend the time, right? So for him it was just like a time thing. He worked all the time, And I just think my mom just didn't know how to be a mom, really.
Wow.
You know what I mean, at the time. So my grandparents kind of took care of me, even when I was little.
Was that your mom's parents or your dad's parents?
My mom's parents.
Your mom's parents.
Technically, my grandma's not actually she's my step grandma. Okay. But for me, she's like my grandma.
Sure.
Because they totally raised me. You know. So moved in the garage. So I moved into the garage at their house.
Wow.
I alternated. I had a room in the house for a couple months, and then I went back to the garage. So I kind of moved around.
How old were you when you were moving?
I was probably when it became a thing, when it was okay.
Permanent, yeah.
I was probably 7 years old,
wow.
give or take. You know. And there was one or two more times probably throughout my life where I would try to go back to my dad. At one point, my dad lived in. I guess the listeners probably wouldn't know, but in Santan Valley in Arizona, he had a big house out there, and I think deep down I always kind of wanted that traditional,
for sure, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would go back with my dad for a little while, and then it wouldn't work out. After I remember one time I moved all my stuff into my dad's.
Yeah.
My grandpa said I was crazy. He's like, why don't you just slow
take a suitcase.
easier way into it?
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I got to bring all of it. You know what I mean? The next morning I was moving back to my grandparents. So, but anyways, I grew up and that was kind of that. My grandpa had a pool company at the time.
Building, cleaning?
Still does. Both,
Okay.
not building. So I guess just cleaning, repairs, stuff like that.
Maintenance, all that
Maintenance, yeah. And so he basically showed me how to do that.
So you grew up at your grandparents' house, but your grandfather was an entrepreneur.
I wouldn't necessarily say my grandpa was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Nor would I say a lot of people that have entrepreneur in their Instagram bio are actually entrepreneurs, right? It isn't good or bad. It's just, I think,
it's kind of a misused word.
Looking at that word and understanding, so he was a business owner. He did what he wanted, when he wanted, with who he wanted, right? On a smaller scale,
right.
Meaning, if he wanted to wake up at 8 o'clock and go clean pools, he could do that. If he wanted to do it at noon, he could do that too. It would, he wouldn't lose money by, kind of playing around with the schedule. And I liked that, right? I saw that as a young kid. And so he showed me how to do that, and he's like, look, because, and they didn't have a lot of money, right? Like they were, either like lower middle class or like middle class, but he owned a pool company, but it just paid the bills. It wasn't like they weren't making a ton of extra money, know? So, and because they had actually gone through a financial thing, probably a decade prior to that.
Yeah.
So my grandpa had like an airplane and stuff, and nothing crazy, but he was a pilot and whatever.
Right.
And, there was a bunch of stuff that happened with them, prior to me even existing, obviously, or even being alive, I guess. So yeah, I think that was kind of my jam. My grandpa showed me how to do that, and
you went through your whole high school career being raised by your grandparents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did they push you to go to college?
No, they never. No, I was never good in. So I did pools I started my own pool company. I was probably 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it was just a little thing. I went to Harbor Freight. I bought a trailer.
That's so cool.
Me and my grandpa put sides on the trailer and stuff, and I pulled it with a quad. I welded a hitch on a quad.
Yeah.
But I was making good money. I was making $1,000 a week. All cash. At 9 or 10 years old. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's bang.
So
dude.
yeah, and my grandparents never really so. To kind of put it all in and I'm trying to keep it short, obviously, but they never really were. They were. Look, they were always there for me. They were the most loving people I've ever met my entire life, right? To this day, there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. They're the best in the world. But they, it was more of a friendship than anything, right? So
more of a friendship than a parent.
100%, right? So they would just whatever I wanted to do, I did.
Okay.
Type of thing for the most part. But really, I think, when I look back at it, it's kind of interesting. Me and my grandpa we would play video games together, right?
Yeah.
And we would do different things. But it was definitely more of a friendship, not more of mentor mentee or parent kid type of thing. Every now and then, but not really. I never got grounded. There was never a talk. There was never you can't go stay at your friend's house or you can't. There was never a curfew. I did what I wanted when I wanted from 10 years old till I was a grown adult.
Question here: when you kind of went through high school and so forth, in my house there were more strict rules and so forth. When I was growing up, with no rules, let's say, or very flex, in your space there. Did you end up running, let's say, with a crazy crowd or the wrong crowd, taking drugs, or did it with no rules, did you go that way, or did it not affect you at all?
No, there was a season.
I
think life is all about seasons, right?
Yeah.
At least from what I've been able to obtain, in terms of knowledge so far. But there was a season. I think I worked really hard. I've always been a hard worker. So I saw, through the grapevine, call it my dad, my grandpa, my whoever, whoever I ever came in contact with that was a man, worked really hard. And in the beginning of my life, I associated that with manual labor, right? I did a lot of so there was a season in my life where I did and there was a season where having that amount of freedom, it was
at a young age.
Yeah, I was drinking, I was partying, I never got hard into, I never did any hard drugs.
Yeah.
So I luckily, thank God, right? I didn't do that. I had a lot of friends that ended up doing that, and I went a different direction at one point. And so that obviously was good. But I could see how you could go the other direction, although I don't believe there's a direct correlation. So I think in the same fashion that people are oh, you had all this freedom, blah blah blah. In theory you could have gone the wrong way. I had just as many friends that had real their parents were too strict to the point where they wanted to go experience life and they thought they were missing out and this, that, and the other thing. And those kids are actually worse off than anybody right now. And I know them, right? So I don't know that there's some direct correlation to and if you do this, it's going to turn out. I really just think it's just I don't know, call it the universe, call it God's timing, call it the law of attraction, whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Now, are you married now with kids?
No.
No. When do you want kids one day?
Eventually, at the right time.
Which way do you think you'll lean? You give them ultimate freedom like you had, or a little bit more rules?
Man, I don't
have
know.
Have you even thought
no,
that
I've
far
thought.
ahead?
Oh yeah, I like thinking. I mean, I'm a visionary, right, in
you're a
nature.
big
So
vision.
I think about everything all the time. I don't know. I think I kind of always like wanted to be a cool dad. You know what I mean? I think I wish I would have had that sometimes. Granted, I had it a little bit. My grandpa was older though, right?
Yeah.
So he was really cool, like but at the same time, it wasn't what it wasn't what I thought at the time my friends had.
Sure.
Now looking back, and hindsight's always 20/20, right? So when I look back at it, I say, okay, well actually they didn't have it either. It wasn't really that cool at the end of the day, right?
Right.
But I think it would be cool, especially when you have money and stuff like that. I think you could have like a cool lake house with a wakeboarding boat and stuff, and I could see where you could create a pretty cool environment for some young kids and be kind of that cool dad that all their friends
want to go to.
Kind of want to hang out with and stuff. It's like, dude, your dad's so cool,
Yeah.
I think that could be kind of fun, but I don't know.
Now, when you growing up, they didn't push you to college. How did kind of this entrepreneurship for you kind of begin, and where did it happen at?
Well, like I said, I saw from a really young age that my grandpa could do what he wanted when he wanted, right? It wasn't that he didn't travel. There was none of that. I mean, it was just, he worked all the time, but it was something that he chose to do. It wasn't that he was never forced. So I never witnessed in my, growing in my childhood, I never witnessed anybody really, for that matter, have to clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I ever saw, right? So I think on a very subconscious level, early on, I realized like, look, I can have that too, right? If they can, I can, right? And it was just this association that I probably just made. I never really thought much about it.
Yeah.
But then I did the pool company, right? And I did that till I was probably like 14, 15 years old. Made a ton of money. Well, for that age, obviously,
age,
right?
sure.
Like looking back, it was pennies on the dollar, but had a lot of fun. Blew all my money, by the way. Nobody ever told me like save your money.
Yeah.
I had a lot of experiences when I was a kid. It's a whole other thing. But anyway, so. For me, at that time, the market was crashing. So actually, if you do the math, I'm 25, right?
Right.
If you do the math on kind of all the numbers, you'll see that when I was like 14, 15, I think, give or take, like the market was tanking. People were like, I can clean my own pool, right? Like I'm not going to pay you to clean my pool. I'm out, $100 a month or whatever I was charging at the time. So I sold that company, pennies on the dollar, didn't make anything. And I went and I worked at a dry cleaners, So I got a job. My mom actually... because I always kind of like would occasionally talk to my parents. It wasn't like super crazy, but my mom had a friend, her best friend, I think she still owns it, but it's right in Gilbert where I grew up. Dry cleaners, got a job, and I worked there for probably like 90 days. I hated it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the dry cleaners, they have like the swamp coolers. Like it's not like actual air conditioning. It's hotter than hell in the summer in Arizona.
Yeah, because you have Arizona, in the dry cleaner. My God.
Right, it's horrible. No real
miserable.
AC. I remember just sitting there like eating peanuts. I don't even know why I remember that, but I would just like eat peanuts and do nothing. Like I just sweat,
Sweat nonstop.
Yeah. And so I hated it, and then but I was a hard worker and I wanted to work. I saw that as being kind of my thing, is something that I could do, take my mind off of whatever, And I ended up actually working probably like 17 jobs, like from that job till the time I worked my last job, like 17 different jobs. I could count them all out. And I actually never got fired, so I've never been fired from a job, and I never will be fired because I'll never work another job. So I'll just maintain that streak right now, But yeah, I never got fired. I would quit.
Why do you think you were bouncing around? Like, were you looking for fulfillment, like an answer, like going from job to job?
No, it was capped. I would just get capped. Like there was only so much I could only be so good at Buffalo Wild Wings or at Venezia's Pizzeria or at Rigid Industries where I was a closer at the end of the assembly line or whatever. Like I would beat the record. Like I remember going into a Rigid Industry type of job, right, where it's like $14-15 an hour, and there's like big company obviously. And they're like, yeah, you can't close like X amount of lights. It was some number because you had like this. My role was like I had a drill, and the drill like hung from a thing, and it was like the assembly people would send me the light, and I was the end guy, so I would put the bezel like on the light, and so there was like 6 screws that held the bezel, and then they would put 10 lights per tray, and you'd have trays just coming at you all day, and it was like precision and speed combined, right? Because when I squeeze this thing, you would squeeze it like just like barely. It would shoot the screw through the bezel into the light, right? And if you missed by fraction of a centimeter, you'd scratch the bezel, and now you're going to send that light back, right? And you don't want to do that because they would get mad at you. So, basically the guy's like day one, he's like, it was some stupid number. He's like, you can't close. He's like the number one guy ever. It's closed like 2,000 lights. So I was like, all right, well, give me a week and I'll double it. And he's like, no, like you're full of shit, and I'm like, okay, well, again, like give me a week and I'll show you. And I was like, what do I get if I do, And so there was like this whole thing. And sure as shit, a week later, I doubled the number, Because that's just what I was about. I wanted to be the best, I would.
You had that drive early in life.
And I stayed late. I would clock out and go back in and I would practice. I would sit there and I'd look at the drill and I'm like, okay, what if like, as they're, sending them to me, like, what if I angled the tray this way instead, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so I just bounced around but then I would hit the cap, right? Because then it's like, what now? I mean, in all reality, maybe I could be the manager or something, I guess, but I didn't want to do that.
When did you make the shift into entrepreneurship?
Full time. I mean, so similar to the other Austin, when I was watching you guys do your show, I mean, like network marketing was a big thing.
That's what you started with?
Yeah, because I think it was. The pool company showed me that like, hey, I can have time freedom, but not really financial freedom. I never really saw that too much, right? Because I still saw people that were still. They didn't travel, like they didn't do what they want. They kind of did, but not really, right?
Yeah.
Network marketing I got into, and it was totally different story. I was hanging out with people that were making $300,000-400 grand a month, $500 grand a month. That were like my age now or younger, right? And they were wearing iced out Rolexes and Breitlings, and that was that was probably like 2012, 2013, when like entrepreneurship wasn't really like sexy on social media, right?
Right.
And so it's kind of cool to see young people traveling the world, like, just doing all this different stuff. And I think that is when I got into like entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I joined, the company obviously. And I don't think I made as much money as like the other Austin in network marketing, but, similar to what he was talking about, I definitely like the 6 inches between my ears, right? Because what it allowed me to do was it allowed me to, like law of association, right? So it allowed me to get around other people that I wanted to be like, one day. And I started to really retrain my subconscious mind to like, I was sitting backstage with Bob Proctor or Les Brown or Eric Thomas or, Tony Robbins. And this was again, this is 8 or 9 years ago probably, or, maybe 7 or 8 years ago at a minimum. So that was obviously really cool.
Now, did you and Austin work for the same MLM?
You didn't know each other. We didn't even know each other.
Didn't know each other at the time. Now, he went 4 years without making money, which is a crazy story. Did you ever make money from MLM that you got into?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, on paper, but I broke even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're spending money to make money, right?
Right.
Like you got to go buy a freaking Mercedes Benz, and you got to, So no, I didn't really make any money. I mean, I made all my money, just I didn't make it right then, right?
Right.
So very, very similar, and I probably did network marketing. I was a part of 4 different total companies. The first one being the longest, no, it was a struggle, man. Like I was probably a part of that company, and it was really a tough thing actually, because initially when I got into network marketing, the first company that I was a part of, like I thought that was the end all be all. I thought that was everything. I was like, man, this is how I'm gonna make freaking $100 million. I looked at guys like the Organo Gold guy, whatever his name is. Anyways, but and I saw these dudes that were making like just killing it, right? At the top of these big companies, $1 million a month, $1 million a week, right?
Right.
And so for that to never come to fruition was a tough thing to. But no, I didn't. I never quit actually at all. That company, FDA, I think it was the FDA, came in and shut us down, and and so I was forced out of that company after I think it was probably like 2.5 years. I was a part of that 2.5, maybe 3 years, and then I went to like 3 more companies. It was never the same vibe or culture that the first company was, and then that's kind of when I got into like real estate and
so
stuff like that.
From MLM is when you went into real estate. When you got kind of out of MLM, what made you go into real estate? What was the kind of door there?
Yeah, I mean, I just started looking. I started focusing on bigger people. I said, okay, what who? Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, the big. I'm like, what do they own? What do they do? I got to study them. I need to understand, And it was everything kept pointing back to real estate. I said, it's not just there's in the world of real estate of all these different avenues, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm just going to be a wholesaler. It's like, no, you've got commercial, industrial. You can syndicate real estate.
Right.
You can there's fix and flip real estate. You can do a subject to where
creative
financing, right? And so I really liked that, and I liked the idea of like, okay, sky's the limit, right? Anywhere, anything the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. And I just like that. I like the concept of that.
Did you end up taking like a course or a training class or anything like that to learn about real estate?
Yeah, I paid a guy. I was 18. I paid a guy like 20 grand, I think. And then I ended up getting like assigned like a mentor. And then and then that was ultimately how I got into. I actually got into wholesaling real estate first when I was about 18 years old. And then eventually.
Were you in Arizona at this time?
I was born and raised. Yeah.
A quick question here for you. I want to talk about mentors for a second. So you pay this guy, just $20,000 at the time. You're like 18 years old, which is a lot of money now, but 18 is really crazy. And you get assigned a mentor to go learn how to go to real estate. Was the investment worth the 20 grand of the mentor?
Yeah, 100%. Because I live in a world where there isn't such thing as mistakes. It's just everything's a part of the plan, right? If everything doesn't happen exactly the way it happened, then the whole thing looks different. Yeah. So it's really difficult to look back and say, would I change anything, right? So I think the answer to that is I would never change anything. If I knew what I knew right now back then, would I go pay? Probably not. Maybe. I mean, if anything, I would do it for the relationships. Yeah. Not the actual knowledge of the particular subject, but more importantly, showing people that put your money where your mouth is. I hate there's nothing I hate more than getting on a call with a guy that's like, dude, I'll do whatever it takes, bro, and I'll work and I'll blah, 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 blah.
This is guys calling you now.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool, $5 grand. And they're like, wow, and it's like, dude, come on now. You know what I mean? And I think money's for that particular, not that actual, but it's I think for that particular thing, it's you're showing somebody you're serious. Dude, you talk this big talk. If you're not willing to front a couple of $1,000s, right, to get into my inner circle, right, and to meet and network with the people that, then what are we really talking about here? Right. So I think from that perspective, right, I think that's
where I agree.
It was my token of look, I'm the real deal,
right?
You can take me seriously, and they did. They took me seriously.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. As you go through there, looking at paying the mentor, because I always talk about it's all about your network and relationships, right? And I've paid mentors, good, bad, indifferent, but there was always something I could pull out of it, right? I'm not saying that this one mentor changed my life forever, but dude, there was things that I learned, and sometimes it was things that I learned not to go do.
Right.
But dude, there was always learning inside of that process that you could take, and I still use this day learning about it. So you go into your highest mentor, you go into wholesale in Arizona, which is a freaking smoking hot market. Yeah. What year was this thereabouts?
This would have been probably into 2014.
Yeah, so you're in a booming market at the time, right? When you go into it and you start wholesaling, assigning deals, and so forth, right? Do you grow from there, from wholesale into fix and flip or rentals? What do you do from there?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of trial and tribulation. You know what I mean? It gets even more complicated as time went along there. Because I got into wholesaling. Took me a long time to get my first deal. And I eventually got my first deal. I did really well, actually, my first year or two probably. I probably sold, I don't know, $100 million worth of real estate in the first couple of years, between traditional, because I ended up getting my license also. Okay. So I wholesaled for 10 months probably, and then my mentor one day said, hey, Austin, why don't you go become an agent? And I was like, I never thought about that, And so I did that. And then, so between the both, I crushed it, right? Knocked it out of the park. From what I knew at that time, obviously. Looking back at it, I was like, it's average, whatever, average at best, But at the time, that was a lot of money. I was making a decent amount of money for my age, And so yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then it did evolve, It went from wholesaling and being a real estate agent to. Well, that's probably about the time I met the other Austin, give or take. Yeah. Give or take a year, maybe. You know what I mean? But right in that time frame, right?
Is when you guys connected.
We connected, and and then we became friends. He was kind of getting out of network marketing. I'd kind of already gotten out of it just previously. And so we started a social media company. It was our first company that we partnered on together, which is the legacy marketing, right? The OG though. A legacy marketing, and we pretty much just did Instagram growth and stuff like that.
This is where you guys would help other companies grow their Instagram and social media, whatever it may be.
Sure. Yep.
Right. You guys start this company together. What happens to it? Because there's a story that I know where you guys get basically kicked off or kicked out of Instagram or something like that, right?
Yeah, potentially,
shut down,
depending
or
on
whatever you
how.
call it.
Yeah, like well, I mean, we grew. It wasn't like overnight. I mean, it took
Right.
time and energy and stuff, but we grew really quickly. We grew all the way. Probably at one point we had like 4,000 monthly customers, paying probably an average ticket of like 150, maybe 200 even was like the average. So you do the math. We're making good money, but it was a shit show. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was just a shit show. We didn't know what we did.
You know what you're doing.
Well, no, we knew what we were doing. We just didn't. We were moving too quick. You know what I mean? It's like. There was no accounting. We didn't know the numbers. We were just writing checks. We were paying out, $100 grand, $100 grand, 100. It felt like every week it's just like, where'd that $100 grand go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just we at one point we were living in a penthouse, and we had a just me personally, I had a Lamborghini, a Range Rover, and a Mercedes Benz, all parked on different floors of the parking garage.
Yeah. Well, you had to.
In a 2-story penthouse.
For sure.
And so we were working out of our living room in the penthouse.
Were you leasing out all the cars? Were they all leases? Or you buy them?
No, I bought them all.
You bought them all?
I mean, not in cash, but
Right.
I
But
financed them.
yeah, but
I've
not
never
a lease.
leased a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get these cars. You're crushing it. You're doing your social media business at this point. Are you still doing real estate as well?
Not really. I mean, I wasn't
just kinda-
promoting it. Right on the side, I kind of was. So it was
Okay.
like if people would DM me or whatever, or whatever, and they
go do a
needed
deal.
help, then I would go do a deal. You know what I mean? But the focus, because at that point, me and the other Austin, we really thought that we could scale, and we knew that Instagram growth wasn't going to be a forever thing, right? It wasn't
Right.
like we had this perceived notion, or like, we were aware, right? And so we weren't naive to that fact, but when we looked at it, we said, okay, but it's a cash cow right now, right? And so when we looked at it, we're like, if we can make a few $1 million and then just take that money and park it, in real estate or whatever, like, let's do it, And so it was a conscious decision on both of our ends to really make that the number one priority at that time, right? And say, okay, I can come back to real estate, right? I can come back and kind of push that at any given time. We can go back over here. We can, and so we saw kind of a window of opportunity, and we just took it,
How did you acquire the customers for the social media?
All through Instagram.
All through Instagram?
So we never got that's what I mean, like, looking back, and again, hindsight's 2020, right? We could have hired a better team, way better team. We could have had our accounting on point. We could have done way more marketing. We could have done email marketing and text message marketing, and we could have done SEO, and like, we could have had all these different things, and we could have actually built systems and processes and procedures around that, right? And then we could have scaled into a marketing agency, right? It could have gone just like that. We could have gone from Instagram to, okay, now we'll manage your Facebook, we'll do your YouTube ads, now we'll do your TikTok ads, right? Whatever. And we just didn't end up going that route. And I think the day might come where we do revisit that idea. The company still exists, and it's still there, and we still have the relationships and the contacts and stuff like that. And I think the day might come where we look at each other and we have a little bit more bandwidth, and we just say, hey, let's just go all in again. Because if anything now, the marketing agency could serve as, if anything, just like an internal company that the other companies kind of pay to do their marketing, and then it ends up being a write-off over here and income over here. But then we get creative with it, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier.
So tell me, before we go into ATM machines, that's where I want to spend some time with you on. Before we go to that level, I want you to back up a little bit and talk to me about a failure that you've had in business. Not so much all the details about it, but paint us a picture of a failure. I want to ask you some questions about overcoming failure.
Yeah.
What was a failure you guys had? Or either you and Austin, or just you?
I mean, a big failure, I think, is just like hiring the wrong people. Our biggest, I mean, my thought is that, like, the people are everything, right? And I just think that you're always, anytime you're building a company, the goal is quicker is better, right?
Okay.
Quicker is better. You got to go fast. You got to go right now, which it is in theory, right? When you have momentum, yes, like, fast is good, right? Like, I without a shadow of a doubt, like, it's easier to go fast than it is to go slow. You've heard Jim Rohn talk about it. You've heard everybody talk about it, right? That being said, if you go too fast to the point where you just hire, you're like, I've built it so many times where, we're just hiring. It's like, oh, we need to fill this position, and it's just like we just hire people on the spot, and they don't end up coming and contributing to the bigger vision. They're there, whether it be out of a place of ego, whether it be out of a place of like self, serving kind of their own needs or whatever, and that ultimately it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to hire the wrong people. It really does. I would pay somebody double day one than hire the wrong guy and have to hire another person. I would just rather just take another person and say, hey, what do you make right now? I'll just double it. If I truly know it's the right person, right?
What are some strategies you learned about when you hired the wrong people that are watching that are in the process of hiring people right now? Any advice you'd give them on how to hire the right person?
Just vet them and feel them out. Really, it's everything's a vibe. Like when I look back at the people that we've hired that are the wrong people, like the fact that I ever thought they were the right people to begin with is it kind of baffles me. It's like, was I drinking that day, or like what was I? Which I probably was, but it's just like.
So maybe that's advice: don't drink when you're hiring.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Be sober
book.
in the interview. Okay, you got to go like a half an hour.
You got to squeeze it out.
Do that in the morning, like 9. No, but I think right? You always know when you know. Like when you're really sitting in there, like take a step back, like ask them questions. I sit down with somebody now. Sure, I want to know what they would do in this situation, what they would do in that situation, and. What kind of degrees they have and whatever. But I also want to know about them. Hey, what do you do for fun? What do you enjoy? What do you and your friends do? Who do you hang out with? What restaurant do you go to? What's your favorite restaurant? Do you use Chrome or Safari, right?
Yeah.
Like just stupid stuff that'll tell you a lot about a person. How often you get your car washed? Like I don't know. Like I really try to like sit there and just randomly. Because you're going to start to see how they react under pressure. You're going to see, what it is that they do for fun and what their family situations. I think you can start to read a person.
Yeah.
And start, simple stuff, right? What do you want to do in 5 years? I got people where I want to hire somebody for the long run.
Right.
And you sit down and you ask them what they want to do in 5 years, and they basically are telling me they want to be me.
Right.
It's like, but you're not the right fit, right? I don't want you to be me. I want you to work for me. And I'll pay you well, and I'll make sure that you can achieve big things, and I'll make sure, we always try to do that, right? Where sky's the limit with in any one of our companies. But at the same time, I don't want to train my competition every day.
Right.
I mean, sure, it's going to happen every now and then, but if somebody's sitting there on the other end of the table saying, hey, Austin, well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to start my own business one day, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, I'm like, just go do it right now.
Right. You're
not going to be a good fit for me. You got the goal. Their vision should be one and the same. They should. I think a great employee should adopt your vision. Right? So it's like, if I can paint my picture of my vision and articulate that well enough, so part of it's on me. I got to be able to articulate the vision, right? I have to be able to say, hey, look, and I've got to be able to articulate it well enough, but then at some point they should adopt that into their own life, and it should become a part of their life now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
When you talk about the hiring of people, I think going back to when you talk about growing too fast, I think you run into that problem a lot. When you grow too fast in a business, you end up, because you need people to grow and you hire people constantly because you had this explosive growth, but you end up overlooking a lot of faults of people because you think, man, I just got to have almost a warm body right now to go do ABC job that's there. And in that explosion of growth, you end up sometimes going 2 steps backwards as well because you for sure had the wrong person because you're willing to overlook it. Faults and failures that they have,
Couldn't agree more.
Talk to you about the ATM business. So you have this social media thing. I'm intrigued by the ATM business because it's such it's got this old school, new school feel to it. Very unique. It's like rental properties to a certain degree. It's intriguing. But before you go into how it works, how did you go from social media into ATM? Where did this idea of ATM machines come along?
It was never a direct thing, So at one point we owned an exotic car rental company together, me and the other Austin. We also owned a golf cart limousine company. And there were a couple of other things that we dabbled in as well. We played a lot around in cryptocurrency and stuff like that, and some different ventures and stuff. And so, but then obviously there were some more failures, right? So and then it was a couple of, a year or two or whatever, and then eventually. I was I was in a different partnership in my real estate, so I'd been in a different partnership. And it didn't end up working out. I've had a falling out with a different business partner, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. And we partnered up on. That's when me and Lewis partnered up on Austin. I call him Lewis. On our on basically everything. The only thing is just the Zaback group, which is my traditional team, which is kind of branded, which I might change eventually. I've kind of played that out of my head a little bit, but when I initially started, I just branded it to my last name because it's what everybody else does in the industry. Not that that's the reason that I should have done it, but anyways. So look, I think at the end of the day, the main thing for me, and I don't know if the other Austin would have a different kind of idea behind things, but for me, it's where we're at right now. It's everything's just cash flow, right?
Okay.
So it's not. I think there's two types of entrepreneurs, right? In my opinion, I think there's entrepreneur A, where entrepreneur A, really wants to like solve world hunger, right? They want to change the way a particular thing is done. Day one, right? They're broke, and their goal is not to get rich, right? I think you have that type of entrepreneur, right, where they really actually they never intended on getting rich. Truly, if you really asked them, like from the very get-go, like why did you start doing what you're doing, and they wanted to solve a particular problem, right? And then entrepreneur B wants to get rich to solve problems. In my opinion, right? So entrepreneur B is like, hey, I'll just do whatever it takes in the beginning to make a lot of money, so then I can take that money and then focus on my passion, focus on what I really care about, right? And also make more money, whatever. And so I think for us, we're more the entrepreneur B. Sure, there's a lot of problems that I see on a day-to-day basis when I look at the world and I look at how things are done, right? And it's like, we could solve those problems, but how much easier could we solve them if we had a lot more money? Right. Because when you look at a lot of the startup, like entrepreneur A type of people, they run into a lot of problems not having money or access to money or not having the right relationships, right? Because the majority of that type of any type of business or whatever, it takes money, right? Right. So our main focus has always been make money. So anytime that we saw a particular thing that had the potential to make a lot of money, right? That was always intriguing, right? And more specifically and importantly, it was intriguing when it aligned with what we were already doing on some level, right? So when I looked at the ATM business initially, we never thought about it. We knew nothing about it, right? I was getting my haircut one day, and the barbershop that I was at getting my haircut done at didn't have an ATM, right? And I'm like, well. I actually got mad. I was completely flustered because he was kind of being a prick, and he's like, you need money, give me money. And I'm like, whatever. And he's like, walk around the hall, down the corner, 100 feet. And I'm like, and so I walked like halfway to where he was standing, then I just turned around. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Like, I'm not, where's the ATM? Like, this is like a trap, you know what I mean? And there was no way, I couldn't find an ATM. So I was like, dude, I'll be back. Like, I'm just gonna go to the bank. So I left the barbershop to go to the bank to get cash to come back and pay him. And because he was cash only, right? It's like, no Venmo, no Cash App, no nothing. I'm like, whatever, dude. So on the way to the bank, I called the other Austin, because we talk all the time, right? Sure. From a communication standpoint, because we're really good friends too. You got to keep that in mind. We're not just like business partners. We've lived together also for like 4 years in multiple different places and stuff. And so I called him up. I'm like, dude, this guy's a prick. We should just. I'm like, what is the deal with the ATM business, anyways? Like you see him at the W and at this place and that place. I'm like, why don't you get to the bottom of it? I'm like, figure it out. I'm like, I'll pitch this guy right now, because we're just kind of those types of guys, right? He's like, give me 10 minutes, so he calls me back. He's like, dude, we can buy an ATM for like $3,200 at the time, which is more than we should have paid for, but we didn't know that. I was like, just order it, I'm gonna pitch this cat.
You're gonna sell this guy right now.
Sell this guy right now on the spot, which I did. I walked back in there. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have an ATM in here by next week. Okay. He's like, all right, cool, whatever, And he's like, how does it work? I was like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out, right? And so, came back a week later, we installed it.
So you guys went and bought a machine.
It called around, called some people.
Like, are you buying like a used machine off of Craigslist?
Or are you buying? I think our first machine was a brand new machine, I think. It was a Gen Mega 2500. Okay. I think it was brand new.
So you guys go buy a brand new ATM machine.
Buy a brand new ATM machine. We called a guy.
Your barber didn't have one.
Barber didn't have one. That was it, And I think initially it was passive income. It's kind of a cool, unique idea. I think initially, in the very beginning, it was like,
that's cool.
That's cool. Whatever, that's cool, and that's all it was for a while, right? I think I landed that one technically. Obviously, the other Austin helped, and then he landed the second one, which is that almost like a little like gas station type of thing, but with no gas. Have you ever been to one of them? Where it's like a little market?
Of course, a little market.
Yeah,
little food market or something.
Yeah, whatever.
So wait, back here. So you land this first one, you get the machine in, and you, at some point you start making money, a little bit of money off this machine, right? Which I'll get the numbers a little bit later. But you're making some money. How fast do you say, oh man, we should go sell another one? Like, was it the same day you sold that one? You're like, oh, we should sell another one?
So that's where I was getting, so the second one happened right away. Okay. And then we stayed at 2 for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you sold 2 pretty quick.
Right off the bat. And then we just sat there. We were like, this is kind of cool, And it was all messed up, dude. I mean, because in the beginning, we knew that banks don't love the ATM business. Super easy to like launder money and stuff like that. And so, but you have to get a relationship with the right bank that'll allow you to do the ATM business. Okay. They'll shut you down, Okay. So we threw our first 2 ATMs right in with all of our other, we have kind of we at the time had one main bank account that we just, there was hundreds of thousands of dollars going through this account all the time. So you couldn't really tell if you'd added one more thing, or 2 more things. So we didn't tell. It was like Wells Fargo, and we just didn't tell them. We just stuck a couple ATMs on there. We're like, we'll get by for a while, before they realized we're doing the ATM business, And so Then eventually got to a point where I was like, we literally just sat there on 2 ATMs. We made probably like $800 to $1,000 a month between the two of them. We started posting about it on social media, I think is what happened. And because we'd just go load them ourselves. We just like pull out some 20s.
So no Brinks machine. You just
no.
You just got in your car, drove over there.
Got in the Range Rover or the Maserati, drove over there with a stack of cash. Totally stupid. You know what I mean?
Ready to get robbed.
Wearing a freaking nice watch. The whole nine. Yeah.
Going into a barbershop and a mini mart.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Dropping off a couple of G's
in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
So back over a second. Help me out here. For the viewers who don't do ATM machines, you're making money off of what the $3 charge or whatever it is that you guys charge in there.
Yeah. I mean, now we make money 17 different ways.
Okay.
But initially, the most basic model to understand is you make money off the surcharge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you guys do the surcharge, you're at these different shops and you're making $800, $1,000, whatever it is a month off of the machines, but you got to put the money back into it.
Yeah.
The 20s or whatever it is inside of it, you got to put it back in.
And it's just recycled. It's they call it vault money. It's just recycled cash, right? It's not because when the customer pulls out cash, it withdraws from their bank account immediately, and then deposits to my bank account at midnight.
Okay.
And they get the cash.
Okay.
And then it charges them. So if you pull out $60 out of my machine, right?
Right.
Right now it's going to charge your bank $64.
Okay.
Because of the surcharge fee. It's going to give you 60 cash and deposit 60 into my bank account tonight at midnight, and then the $4 stack up over the course of a month, and then I get paid that out in like one lump sum.
I got you. Okay. So you guys are making this money, and on two, you sit there on them for however long.
Yep.
And then one day you're like, hey, we should go do more.
Yeah, I think so we started posting a lot about it on social media.
Okay.
And then I think people showed a lot of interest in kind of
kind of a unique
thing, right? Not a lot of people talk about it, especially in that. People are weird about money and cash in general, I think. We should probably, I don't know, who knows? If I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get shot, whether it's, whatever. I think what happened internally, and I'm not sure it was ever like a conscious conversation, but I think it was one of those things where we both kind of looked at each other and it was like, look, dude, we could actually probably make like $20 or $30 million. And this could actually be like decently, even if it's just like a decade, like 1 decade, even 5 years, like 5 to 10 years. I was like, do I think cash will be around in 2100? Probably not, realistically. Do I think it's going to go away tomorrow? Absolutely not, right? But I don't think it'll be around forever either. I think there's, 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe even 30 years, right? Where, other countries have tried getting rid of it and stuff. It's failed miserably. I think it's going to be anytime soon. So I think we looked at each other and I said, look, man, it's an old school industry. You look at like wholesaling, real estate, right? It's a very creative thing when you really think about it, right? You're flipping the contract. I mean, come on,
right. Piece of paper,
and so I looked at the ATM industry. I said, gosh, not that many people are really doing this. You know, what if we did ATMs like how we wholesale real estate? Like, what if we went and we scaled this Bad Jackson and we locked up contracts and we sold the contract now to somebody that just wanted to make passive income, right?
Interesting.
And then it was like one thing at a time. It was like, well, what if we went and we took the contract and I think again it wasn't like a conscious, it just evolved.
Right.
It's like, and then he started selling, and then it was eventually like, well, we'll just do it for you. You'll buy the ATM from us, so we make a couple $100, because then we would start buying ATMs in bulk then from China and stuff, And so then that became an income stream, right? We were selling the ATM, right?
Okay.
And then it became a thing where we would sell the ATM, we would sell them the contract, and we would install it for you. And then it became a thing where we would sell the ATM, sell the contract, install it for you, and then we would get a loader for you. So you wouldn't even have to load your machine. So then we could install a machine for you anywhere in the country.
Okay.
Right? And then it became a thing where it's like, well, we'll do your processing also because we started a processing company, And then it was like, well, we'll put toppers on top of your ATM and we'll run your ads to your business on top of your ATM. So anytime somebody's pulling out cash, you're going to see your ad, right?
Right.
And we'll charge for that, And then it was like, well, the national ad pool, let's get national ads to just, like YouTube's like cost per milli, right? CPM. And let's make money that way, right? And it just evolved, And then it was like one of those things where we looked at it and we just said, hey, dude, like let's just milk the living crap out of this. This is still a big thing, right? Like the other Austin was saying, I noticed when you did the show, is he was saying like 20, 30, 40, up to even like 60% ROI, right? Look, I love real estate. I always have a passion for real estate. And real estate will always be the end play, right? But it's like, you're not going to make that in real estate, not every year, So I was just like, if we can get, investors into this investment, say cash is gone in a decade, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because you're making 50% ROI for the next 10 years. In 2 years, you break even. and 8 years after that, you're cash flowing, right?
Right.
So, that's kind of where we're at right now. We'll see.
So you guys, do you personally, or in your LLC or whatever it is, do you guys still own any more LLCs that you guys just
ATMs?
your ATMs? Yeah.
No,
sorry.
we own like 100
Your
ATMs.
So you and Austin own thereabouts 100 ATM machines that you guys just own and service yourselves, or
exactly. Yep.
control yourself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and we could scale that to 1,000 tomorrow. We just don't want to. I shouldn't say that. We've made more money lately not doing that.
Not doing that model.
Yeah.
So you went from 2 to 100. Are all your ATM machines like right around Phoenix area where you guys are?
No, they're all over.
You guys have them all over?
Yep.
Nationwide, or just like, really?
Yeah, nationwide.
All nationwide, you got them all over the place.
Yeah.
How do you guys sell an ATM machine from Arizona to freaking Boca Raton, Florida?
How do we sell it, or how do we install it and manage it?
What makes you guys say, I'm going to go put one in Boca Raton, Florida?
Well, I mean, you just think bigger, I mean, for us, it was every ATM guy at that point, I think, just had like, they covered Dallas, Texas, or they did freaking Tucson, Arizona, or they did this, or they did that. And I was just like, well, wait a minute, like none of them had social media, right? So here we are in social media. It was just simple. It's just like, oh yeah, we'll ship one to, Tennessee or Kentucky or whatever.
But were you send that to a customer that was more your customer who was buying it, installing it, or were you sending it to a mini mart in Tennessee, and it was your ATM in their mini mart?
A little bit of both.
Both of them?
Yeah, a little bit of both. If it was ours, we'd just get an installer in that location to go in to install it for us, and then we would just get a loader, somebody to load it with cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, are you using Brinks or still no Brinks to load cash?
We've used them. There's other
whatever company.
There's other loading companies that are better, and a lot of private money is good too. You get like people that just have a bunch of cash, and it's just like, hey, like this is better than it sitting in your bank account. Like just come load my machine for me.
So there's other investors that will actually use their cash, or give you their cash to go load in machines, and they just get a take off the top of it.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, even further and better than that, they'll do it for me. They'll go load the machine. They'll load my machine for me with their
money.
cash.
So it's your machine in someone else's mini mart.
Yep.
And then let's say someone like me, I go and load my.
Yep.
How much?
You're retired. You're 65. You know what I mean. You're bored. You got some cash in the bank. It's like, hey, just drive down to my mini mart. Once every couple of weeks, and just throw like $7 or $8 grand in there. In $20 bills.
How much is it? Like 7, 8 grand.
It just depends on how often you want to load it and how often it gets used.
They load it up for you with their money. And then it recycles, and they get a small portion.
Yeah, they get like a buck, maybe off every surcharge.
Yeah.
So every time somebody uses their cash, they get like a buck.
And then they're getting paid right back away because it's going.
Yeah, they get paid right away.
Account.
Yeah, they probably get because a decent location will do a couple hundred transactions a month. So they make a couple $100 a month just doing nothing.
Yeah.
For a loader.
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, now there's locations that do 2,000 transactions a month. I mean, it just depends on the location. Yeah.
Have you ever sold any like national chains on like 50 ATMs at one time?
You can, but it's honestly like, and I'm sure somebody will disagree with me. I mean, I think different strokes for different folks, right? But I think for us, the hole in the wall barbershop, the hole in the wall salon, the hole in the wall whatever is always done better. It outperformed every other, like the chain, stuff like that. I think it's just, it's impossible to ever talk to the decision maker, right? The decision maker is not even the decision maker because he doesn't know what the hell he wants. And so it's just you just get jerked around.
So you guys have stayed with the local mom and pop shops everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Do you then turn this ATM business that you and Austin are running into an actual like event training course where you guys are then selling a training on how to go do it? Is that what you do next?
That organically happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were just showing people, and then
on
people
social media. Because I follow your social media, and you guys are always freaking posting ATM stuff. I'm like, dude, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You're like on a dolly or something dragging an ATM to a store.
Yep.
And I guess installing a new ATM or whatever, right?
Sure.
And so because of social media, I would assume you guys get hit on, hey, how does that work? And that's what organically built out this industry for you?
Yeah, organically, because what are you going to do? Sit on the phone with everybody and train them? You got to automate it, right? All the courses just automate. It's just automated. It's just saying. Then all the course or like any sort of training, again, in my opinion, back to what you were talking a little while ago when I was was the guest watching the show about like you went through like the information era, right?
Yeah.
And now I think we live in a world where information is readily available for everybody, but I think it's the opposite problem, right? I think, in my opinion, I think that there's too much information out there in the world right now. It's and it's super disorganized. Yep. So I think when you buy a course or you pay for training, what I think you're really doing is you're paying for organized information in a step-by-step format. Easy to follow. Here you go. Action plan A, B, C, and D. You're off to the races, right? Because can you go find all of that information on YouTube for free? Sure. You can. Good luck.
Yeah, it may take you 5 years.
It may take you 5 years. You'll probably never take action, and you're not going to have anybody holding your hand, and you're ultimately you're going to get into the analysis paralysis and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you guys created like an online training course?
Yeah.
Do you hold events or just training courses? Just sell the training courses out?
We do some events. It was never our main goal. Our main goal was never to make money. We make way more money actually doing the business, contrary to a lot of other gurus out there who now make more money selling the product than they do the actual company. We try to be the opposite of that. We try to actually we try to do even our wholesaling business and stuff. Like we're truly like success. Like I would never want to teach some outdated old methodology of anything, you know what I mean? So I think for us, we made the training, we have it available. If you want it, cool. If not, hey, no worries.
On your training course, so you have this online training course of teaching someone how to go do an ATM business, and then they can buy the products, if you will, from you guys. All the servicing, the loading of it, the machine itself. You guys sell that to them as well.
We do, or if you want, if you want to go
buy it yourself,
if you want to buy it from our competition, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll just buy our competition out. Probably, hopefully, we'll see.
Well, that's what I was going to. What's the kind of play here on the? I'm following you now. You have these like 17, I think you said, different ways that you're making money on this ATM machine that you have there. What's the big play for you?
Well, I think the play probably, me and Austin were talking about it last night at the airport. I think, probably just to get acquired for that particular company. Because again, I don't think the play is to own that company for 50 years, right? That was never our goal with that company. I think it's a cool company. I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's unique. I think it's a great stepping stone. But I think that's life. I think that's business, right? When you look at business, is there ever really, I'm going to do this for the rest of my, like even Jeff Bezos and stuff. It's all, there'll be another thing and another thing and another thing and another thing.
Went and bought Whole Foods.
Elon's going to wake up and he's going to be like, as a matter of fact, like instead of flying to Pluto, let's just create our own planet. It's okay, cool. Now. So, I think business is just stepping stones. I think in every season of business, it's okay, I'm going to maximize, as much money as I can make, and I'm going to learn as much as I can, and I'm going to fail a bunch, and we're going to hire a bunch of people, and then that will ultimately just catapult us to the next season, and the next season, and the next season. A true entrepreneur, right, is ultimately going to do that. Somebody that just wants to get rich and go drink a margarita on the beach, maybe not. Right. But I think most people have a false understanding of that lifestyle, anyways.
Yeah. Would you say as an entrepreneur, you're more visionary or more operations?
I'm more visionary for sure, but I can be both. You know what I mean? And I think it's really a necessary. And I'm not saying I'm great at being an operations guy. I'm certainly not, and nor do I really love it. But I am capable of it. I can look at a thing and I can say, okay, what do we really got to do here to create a procedure around this, and what does that look and feel like, and what software do we need, and how do we integrate that with that, and who do I got to call, and what relationship do I have in my phone book that could potentially offer me the solution to this piece of the puzzle, and then how does that apply? And so I definitely can think like that, and I kind of enjoy it, right? Now, for me to sit there on the computer and build a ClickFunnels and design the webinar and write out the copy, and I can do it. I know how to do it. I really don't enjoy it. I would prefer not to. But I definitely will, and I looked, and I think Austin was referring to this a little bit, like I try my best. I want to be, and I think in every season there's different roles that you have to play, right? Look, we're entrepreneurs at the end of the day. Right. It was never designed to be sexy. I mean, it was designed to be dirty work, in the trenches. I think Instagram makes it look sexy, right?
Yeah.
And Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about that, but I think it more importantly, it's hard work. Right, it's late nights, it's early mornings, it's stress, it's anxiety, it's making tough decisions, it's firing people, it's hiring people, it's spending money before you have it, it's all these different things, and I think that's part of it, right? I think part of it is you got to do what you got to do, man, and I think in this last season of our life, Austin, and that's why we get this a lot lately, but people are like, oh, your ATMs and your real estate. It's like, yeah, because it's what we had to do, right? Because what we've noticed in our businesses where they were both scaling really quickly. And it made more sense for him to go focus on, I still know everything about the ATM business, and he still knows everything about wholesaling, right? And the traditional, and we're fix and flipping, and there's 10 things that we're not even talking about that we do right now, right?
Right.
But I think for a period of time, it was like, okay, your primary focus during the day-to-day will be ATMs, and mine will be wholesaling, but then I kind of started doing a little bit of the back end with ATMs, and he'll help me on the little bit of the front end with wholesaling. and it's just it worked out, right? And now there'll probably be another season very soon where we'll start to replace ourselves. So once we master it, then it's like, all right, let's hire somebody. We got to delegate that, right?
Yeah, man, I think you're talking about that. What you're defining there to me is that true definition of an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Where I love the launch, building, explosion process, and then once it kind of is out there, I'm kind of tired of it, burn out of it, and looking for the next kind of thing there. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that concept.
They do, yeah.
But talk to me about kind of your next phase here. So I like what you're thinking about how these are different stepping stones that you're kind of going through. But look at it from a business and a branding standpoint, right? Two different things there: running a business and building a brand. Do you feel like the ATM machines or the ATM machine business is your kind of brand and focal point, or is it just a business you're running that produces income right now for you?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? I think you can always shift. If you play it right? I think if you look at Elon tomorrow and he comes out with the flamethrower, right? He comes out with he calls it not a flamethrower, right?
Right.
And he does this, that, and the third. You're not really shocked. You're not taken by surprise. Like, oh my God, like he's not. I can't believe he built a flamethrower and he's not focused on Tesla or SpaceX or whatever. It's like kind of expect that from a guy like that, right?
Right.
You kind of know he's all over the place, and it's like, oh, okay, it makes perfect sense. Of course he would do something like that. And I think that I think for us, long term, if there were going to be a brand, I think, and I don't know, again, it's been a conscious conversation that we've had, but I think the brand is more focused around us, and then whatever we do, right? So it's just like, okay, here's a couple of guys, Austin, they're serial entrepreneurs, they enjoy providing value, they enjoy speaking on stages, helping people, right, etc. But ultimately, they're entrepreneurs at the end of the day. They're visionaries, and they'll stop at nothing to achieve the goal, the dream, the whatever, right? Because I wouldn't necessarily say that the day won't come where we have a physical, tangible product. We make $1 million a day. You know what I mean? I don't know. I would imagine that knowing him and I, the day's going to come where I'm like, dude, we got to solve this problem. And, we'll shift, we'll evolve, and we'll make that happen. So I think right now we're focused on building what we're building, and that's cool, right? I think we're going to show the world anything that we do. So it's like if we started a podcast, right? So we'll show the world, like, hey guys, check out an A&A show. It's pretty cool what we're doing. And I think tomorrow, if we pivoted and it was like, hey, dude, let's go build frickin' a skyrise in New York City, I think we would just shift our focus. Like, hey guys, like, look, here's what we're doing now,
Right.
And that's just kind of what we've always done.
I want to talk about the A&A show that you guys launched inside there. You guys launched this A&A show, which you guys have an awesome studio set that you guys created down in Arizona. What was kind of the angle of why you wanted to launch this A&A show? Was it because it's not strictly about ATMs and anything else? It's just a show that you guys go on. What is it? Why did you launch it?
Well, it reminds me of what you guys got going on here. It's just so cool. We walked through the tour of the building and I'm astonished. Anytime you think you're doing it big, it's always like that, the Meet the Jones things or whatever. But it's like, it's really cool to see what you've done, and I think it's the same thing, right? You've got all these different things that you dabble in, right? We're gonna have some dinner and stuff tonight. Probably talk more about it, but it's like. And then you got the Money Is show. And what's so cool about it, and it'll tie right into the A&A show, is just like you don't limit yourself by doing this, right? If you want to bring Mark Cuban in, set him right here, you will, and I'm sure you actually will. Or if you want to bring in Larry Fitzgerald, football player, and you can do that too, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of people, they limit themselves right off the bat. They name their Instagram account like Austin sells real estate, and it's like, all right, cool, like then I guess you're gonna sell real estate for the rest of your life, then you know. But I think like the A&A shows are cool. You look at like the Ellen show, right? You look at the Money Is show, and it's a never-ending thing that we can do.
Right.
It's so long that we're both alive, right?
Right.
That's the only thing I haven't quite thought through yet, But so you got the A&A show, and I think the reality of it is like we started it to do a couple different things. Number one, to provide value to the world, right? Of course, who doesn't like giving, right? Giving is living, right? You can make all the money in the world. We've made a decent amount of money in our life, and it's never as fulfilling, like Austin was talking about, right? As giving. I love to give, right? Whether that be money, time, resources, information, whatever. So I think that's like point number one. Is like it's a really cool feeling to give, to see people genuinely inspired, maybe they gain wisdom, knowledge, whatever, from what it is that we're able to do. It's a cool feeling, right? And then number two was we have an excuse to interview cool people. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't just call somebody and be like anybody and everybody and be like, hey, I just want to like interview you just for the hell of it, right?
Right.
They're like, well, why? It's like, well, just for the hell of it, It's like, but now when you got a podcast or something, it's like, hey, I want to have you on my podcast, and it's going to be a win-win, and we're going to promote you to our audience, and you can promote us to your audience, and we can then we can collaborate and all these different ththings, and then like low key though, we get to before and after that camera clicks record, we get to pick their brain, right? We get to say, hey, by the way, I saw you've been dabbling over there, I'd love to talk to you more about that. I've been really interested myself. I'd love to pick your brain.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you get to start these natural conversations where, you said at the beginning of the show, your network is your net worth, right?
Yeah.
And I think the bigger your phone book and the more people, you get like stupid TV shows like, you ever seen like Suits on
USA.
Harvey Specter, right?
Yeah.
And he's all about planting seeds, and
Right.
then he'll reap that. He'll
Yeah.
do things for other people so that they can owe him one.
Right. Oh yeah, for
Right,
sure.
it's like, hey, I got you. I
Yeah.
don't want anything right now,
Yeah.
but the day is gonna come.
Just remember you owe me one.
Where I want something, right?
Yeah.
And I think not like from an aggressive standpoint, but I think from a standpoint of be a seed planter and give people value, be a giver, and maybe you never ask for anything in return, but it is kind of a cool feeling knowing that at any given time I can pick up my phone. Somebody's there with a solution to my problem in that moment.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time, where I'm like, oh man, we really, the other day we got just stupid stuff, entrepreneur stuff, right? Our email provider shut us down. We got banned. We were sending 100,000 emails a day,
Yeah.
And they shut us down, and I was like, oh shit. And I just made a few phone calls, to other fellow entrepreneurs, and I'm like, dude, I'm experiencing this problem.
Yeah.
They just shut us down. All my employees, they're coming to me. I got 3 different solutions with 3 different phone calls.
Yeah.
One guy's like, oh, I use this. One guy's like, oh, I use this, and boom, right? I look back at my integrator. We have integrators within our businesses, and I said, here's 3 different, ones that you should check out, or whatever. So.
Yeah, for sure. On your show, ANA show, what's the kind of biggest guest you've had? Would you say?
So we had Josh Snow was a really cool guy.
Yeah.
That was a really cool intellectual conversation. Alex Morton was another big one. Alex Morton was big. There's a couple big ones, man. But I think Josh Snow is probably the most intellectual so far that we've had. He's a very he's a true definition of a visionary. With a very high risk tolerance,
right?
Which I think is also ties hand in hand with being a true visionary.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just think it was really cool to get to see. He's very methodical in the way he thinks, and everything he does is very strategic and planned out. And he's kind of always a little bit ahead. And I really enjoyed picking his brain and having that conversation with him.
Yeah. If someone wants to watch the ANA show, where do they go to watch it at?
Just the ANA show on pretty much any platform.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah,
as well?
YouTube.
You guys record
YouTube.
it, right?
Mm-hmm, yep, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, podcasts, iHeartRadio. I think the whole.
So
nine.
if they go to YouTube, watch it. They literally just go to the ANA show.
Yep. And with the and symbol.
Oh, with the and symbol.
Yep,
That's
with
what
the
I
and
said.
symbol. Yep.
So A and symbol and A. We'll put it on the screen here for
Exactly.
the viewers here. And then I want to go back really quick because I want. I'm sure people have freaking questions about the ATM business.
Yeah.
To me, it's as entrepreneurs, it's so intriguing.
Sure.
On it. How do they find out information about the ATM business you guys run?
Probably just DM us. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram, whatever your preferred platform is. Whoever's watching, and just shoot us a DM. We're really open. We really try to be with open arms. As much as we can. Obviously, to point you in the right direction, give you advice or whatever. We don't have some a landing page or anything like that. I mean, we do, but I would prefer just shoot me a DM.
Yeah.
It might take us a few days, but we try really hard to read everything, and get back to you.
What's the say your Instagram handle if they want to DM you? Where they hit you up
Just at Austin Zaback on every platform.
At Austin Zaback.
Yep.
On all the platforms.
Every platform. No underscore. No nothing like that.
And then could they also hit up Lewis, your partner, as well?
Yeah.
And
The
that
Austin
one's
Lewis.
The Austin Lewis.
Yep, exactly.
For his as well. So you
For
can
all
DM
his.
either one of you for the
Either
ATM
one
business.
of us. Shoot us a DM. I think we have I think right now currently in my bio I got the different companies that I own. I have their own Instagram handle or whatever. So if you're not getting through to us, you could DM one of our companies,
right?
Instagram handles or whatever, and typically those don't have as many DMs, and I have an employee or two that'll kind of go through those. So if you're not having any luck with our personal, just DM one of those.
Okay, so I want to shift a little bit and talk to you about social media.
Yeah.
You guys built this social media company. You guys build the brands as well. Obviously, I talked to Austin Lewis a ton about TikTok, right? Where are you at with TikTok? Are you big on social media? Are you like it seems like to me Austin Lewis freaking eats, sleeps, and just wants to always do social media. Are you the same or a little bit different?
I would say we're the same. We're definitely the same. We think very, very similar. You know, we're always doing everything. I think and I hope and I know from a place of love, like just a place of abundance, a place of we're all here to win. You know what I mean? Yeah. It isn't about him doing it bigger than me or me doing it bigger than him. I could care less. You know, I don't really care. But no, I think like he got a little bit of a head start when he was focused big on TikTok. I was focused a little bit more on YouTube, and we were almost like split testing, like in kind of a way, you know. And but we were both very, very similar on Instagram. And then I fully see the potential in TikTok. I think initially I was like a little bit skeptical just from the standpoint of like, oh, it's just like Vine, you know, they're gonna blow up and it's gonna shut down.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to like put all of my energy there for it to shut down. And then obviously like with the media and everything saying like they're actually gonna shut it down. I was like, okay, well like I don't want to put a ton of energy into something that's just gonna get shut down, right?
Right.
And so kind of like subconsciously, I think I was still a little bit more focused on like YouTube. But and so like YouTube I think is really good, and then I think TikTok is really good. Like go viral, be authentic, be yourself, share kind of a snippet of your life, because I think TikTok's like a snippet, right? It's, sure you can post 60 seconds, whatever, but the average attention span on TikTok I think is pretty short, right? It's like
for sure.
Call it 15 seconds, you know. So I think if you could post a snippet like of maybe what you're doing on YouTube or of what you're doing on Instagram or of what you're doing on a different platform, then drive that traffic to your other platforms and show them the longer version. The people that come are ultimately going to be the people that are true fans. Like they're loyal, they really like you on TikTok, and they're going to really like you on YouTube. They're going to like you on Instagram. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you do the giveaways like Austin does as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What kind of giveaways you do?
On like TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok.
I mean, I don't do it as much. I'll do like just random, like same thing as him though. You know, just like $100. You know what I mean? Whatever. It's more just like we did a giveaway for the A&A show on our personal TikTok. So it was like, hey guys, like come subscribe to the A&A show. You know, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're gonna give away. I think it's like $500 or whatever. You know, so we just stuff like that.
So you do them as well.
Yeah.
But like he has the daily giveaway. I think it is.
I don't do that right now. Not right now.
You don't do the daily.
Not right now. I mean, but again, it's just different. Sometimes we end up in different seasons. So like right now, I post on TikTok quite a bit. But it's just lately, it's just been a different kind of content. And I only got onto TikTok about a month ago, like hardcore. He's hardcore been on it for probably like I think he was saying like 7 or 8 months.
Right.
And for me, it's probably been about a month. Yeah. So I'm sure that in a few months, you know, it'll evolve for me, you know, and it'll evolve for him, I think too. It's always evolving, right? So it's like, you know, and we always are constantly strategizing on different things. So, you know, he'll call me at 10 o'clock at night. He's like, hey, bro, we got to, you know, here's what we got to do. You know what I mean? Here's my theory. We got a bunch of theories, right? You always got a theory on everything.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to focus on the thumbnail, or we got to focus, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a great partnership. I want to talk just a little bit about it. How have you guys, in a quick amount of time, short amount of time, developed this really unique partnership that really works? At least for spending all day with you, it seemed like it was really on point. How did you guys develop that kind of partnership right there? Because a lot of people struggle big time with partnerships.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were the right people from the very beginning. So I think a lot of it was just like right place, right time, right person. You know, we got lucky, quote unquote, right? Yeah. Obviously, we took action on that. We saw a really, I think like in the very beginning, it was almost like as crazy as it sounds, like we look similar. It was similar, like obviously same name.
Yeah.
And then similar, like he's like we're about the same height, you know, that type of thing. To each other. So I think kind of initially it was almost like a play on that in the very beginning, because it was like we could almost like double brand everything. Like we could take. He could build almost followers, like I could build followers, and like everybody, we almost kind of like people know, like if they don't DM me, they DM him. If they don't DM him, they DM me. You know what I mean? So that was kind of cool initially, and then, but yeah, I think like just our personality types they work. It works. But I also think like coming from a place of love, right? Look, man, I mean, we go to church. Sure, we drink a glass of whiskey or whatever, but we really try to do the right thing. You know, we go to church. We really try to give back. Our thing has always been like abundance and like giving and serving and helping other people. And so it's never been, you know, I think the partnerships that fail are the partnerships that are focused on the money. And it's like sure, money's great. And it's still not what I'm going to write on the thing.
It's not money is great.
But you know, I just think, man, like I love the guy. I wouldn't know what I would do without him. And the feeling is mutual, obviously. And you know, you just like, I think don't get into partnership for the wrong reason. I would say to anybody listening or reviewing, you know, if anything, I would think more about the person you're going to do business with than the person you marry. 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Yes. Like I would put more thought into the person you do business with than the person you literally
that
marry.
You're going to partner up with on your business.
I'm not even shitting you. Like like it should be like the biggest decision you ever make in your life. Like every single partnership you go into, like you should put a ton of thought into it.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get along. Make sure that if you don't get it, you're not always going to get along, right? It's just like a relationship, you know. When you're not going to get along, what are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to quit? You're going to give up? You're going to go a different direction? Or you're going to walk the other way for a couple of minutes and come back and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. My ego got in the way. They got the best of me, dude. Like, let's do. I really, you know, I want to win together. Like, what are we going to do? How do we fix the problem, right?
You know, it's funny in your comment there. I'm going to divulge some information on me. I've had a partnership before. I've had partnerships that are great. I have partnerships that have failed. And going to your point there, I've had a divorce and a partnership fail almost very close to each other. And the partnership actually cost me more money than the divorce actually cost me.
And probably more heartache.
Crazy. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, obviously, it's all. Neither of them are good,
but for sure, it cost me more money,
Sure.
dude. The partnership. So when you said I would think to my partnerships more than a marriage, I'm thinking, yeah, actually, that did cost me more money. Than my
it's a truth of the matter.
did.
You know, it's a truth of the matter. Like you end up, everything revolves around that other person. You know,
because it is really like a marriage. So much of it.
And if you're gonna marry your partner. You better put a lot of thought into that one. Right?
That's a whole nother level on that.
That's a whole nother level, right?
One more quick question to ask you. If you could have any guest show up on your ANA show, who would be the one guest you'd want on your ANA show to interview?
Dude, it's hard when you ask questions like the one. I really struggle with that, being a visionary. I mean, it would probably be like, I'm going to give you two, and then it'd be one of the two.
Okay.
It'd probably be either like Donald Trump or like Elon Musk.
Yeah, those are two freaking
I mean?
great names there. Why Trump?
Dude, he's the president of the United States, man. You love him or you hate him.
Right.
He got 50% of the country to hate him and became president.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's something to be said about that, man. I think there's something. I think no matter what, you know, you look at a guy like that, and dude, you know, the guy just has it. He just does it. He says it. He's been building.
The cool thing about him that I freaking love is being in branding and marketing and so forth. To me, dude, watching like from the outside, just watching it, he is like 7 steps ahead of the media with stuff that he does.
You just put your name on a building. Can you imagine,
I mean,
like just at the top of a skyscraper. Like,
You
know?
It's just amazing how much like he plays the media and like a puppet master, gets them to dance when he wants them to dance and so forth. Like, it's amazing to me on the marketing and branding side of it.
Yep.
Like, I think Grant Cardone is great at freaking marketing.
And he's amazing.
Oh, dude,
right?
he's a great guy. I've interviewed him. He's actually one of the nicest guys I've actually ever interviewed.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy. And it kind of gets a bad rep as being like a dick. But dude, like when you got around him, like he like literally shut down everything. It was like totally sincere. And I think and he's a great freaking marketer, right?
Oh, phenomenal.
Just phenomenal marketer. I think Trump has that same concept where it's like he's able to play.
Grant mirrors Trump, I think.
Yeah.
To
a
like
lot
low
of
key.
You
know what I mean?
And I think Trump is like the master at marketing and how he does. And he's so fast at it. And to be whatever it is, 72, and be able to keep up.
To be able to keep going, man.
With what he is, dude. It's freaking nuts watching this thing
it's like,
take place.
look, you know, you love the guy or you hate him. You're back to the Twitter thing. I know you guys were talking a little bit about Twitter. That's the reason you would be on Twitter, right?
Oh, for sure.
Is to watch guys like that and what he tweets.
Yeah,
you know,
what he tweets.
And so many people, they're like, oh, like, I can't believe he said this. Like, he's not an idiot. He knows what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying.
You might not agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now, that's a totally different thing, right?
Right.
And I don't necessarily agree with what half the shit he says either. But at the same time, it's just a marketing play. That's all it is. That's all it is. He's just marketing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, look, if he can get you to talk shit about him at the dinner table, you know, somebody else at the table is going to end up liking the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never gotten more publicity from my haters than I have my fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, my haters give me the most publicity out of
anybody.
They'll
talk about you nonstop.
They'll talk about me nonstop.
Yeah.
My fans talk about me here and there. They're like, oh, yeah, he's a cool guy, you know?
Yeah.
My haters, they just run their mouth, man. It's like
unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I got to get me some more of those. And that's what he's done, right?
Yeah.
And he's mastered that. And he doesn't care. You know, at the end of the day, he's built his businesses. He's given his family a good life. You love him or hate him. He's probably helped a lot of people in some way or another, right? And he's the president of the United States. So I think you look at a guy like that, and it's like he doesn't care about your opinion of him.
Right.
And I think that's kind of very unique. And you see so many people that live their life that are people pleasers, and I've been guilty of this myself, right? And as entrepreneurs, you kind of struggle with that, I think, in general. But like to truly master the art of, like, Mark Manson has a couple books on. I'm sure you read them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but you know, it's like if you can master the art of, like, giving a crap without giving a crap.
Right.
You feel me? Like it's like I'm gonna care about people without caring about the opinions of the people.
Right.
You feel?
I understand.
So
you actually see if you go back and read his book, The Art of the Deal, which is in my opinion one of the best books that he ever wrote, or whatever you want to call it. But if you go back and read that book, I actually see a lot of the strategies that he's talking about there in the media.
Sure.
talk about kind of what you're saying. They like the caring, but then not caring.
Yeah.
If you go read his Art of the Deal, he's got some great negotiation strategies that he talks about in the book of how he's negotiated these crazy ass deals, like of hundreds of millions of dollars for buildings. And he goes through like different strategies that he used. And the biggest one he talks about is caring but not caring.
Yeah. There's
and
an art.
There's art to it,
the
man.
dating experts talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you want to go pick up a girl? What? You care too much, and you're like you're too much, right? You go hit on a girl at the bar, and it's like, but if you don't care at all, you're just a dick, aren't you? Like it's like no, you gotta. There's this fine line of like, hey, I care about you just enough, girl, but hey, I'm gonna walk out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're gonna come with me. So it's just like I think that applies to anything in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I want to hit you with the question on the Money is Show.
Cool.
I got your sign here.
Perfect.
And you got the shades on this one, man.
I do, man.
And are you a big shades guy? You wear them all the time in freaking Arizona, probably.
I do. I wear sunglasses. Your eyes.
Yeah,
dude,
nonstop there.
Yeah.
So why don't you fill in the blanks here, whatever your answer is, and then I'll have you sign it right here. Then we'll talk about it. We do this because a lot of stuff you talked about, right? There's got to be a give back. There's got to be something bigger than I got some cash in my pocket right now. There's got to be something that's driving you. Because in business, man, you talked a little bit about you get kicked in the teeth like all the time. Even when you're winning, you'll still get kicked in the teeth, right? Even like when you're successful and you made money and the business is growing, there's just random days you walk in, like, my God, could this day go any freaking worse, man? I should have stayed in bed today. And there's got to be something that's driving you, I think. There's something inside of you that's real, that's pushing you to go forward. So I want you to fill this out real quick. I'll give you the Sharpie here.
Okay.
And
we'll do it.
Then me and you will chat about it.
There was multiple different. I've been kind of pondering
on it.
And there's not one thing that I could write down here, but there's one that I'm going to write down. So we'll just
Let's
go
see
ahead
it, man.
and do it.
Sign it in between.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
It's a good one, bro. Again, I love it when no one has whenever has a brand new freaking answer. And those watching at home, his answer is money is a byproduct. Money is a byproduct. That's a freaking great answer, dude. Very unique. Tell me what you mean by money is a byproduct.
I just think that if you provide, if you have some goal, some vision, right, and you can provide value, you can solve a problem. Your money's always a byproduct, right? It's just like you can't not make money and be a legend at the same time. Yeah. It's not possible, right?
It's not possible.
It's not possible. Now you
even
might
look at Mother Teresa.
Yeah,
it's not freaking possible.
Might be delayed gratification.
Yeah.
You might work. You might grind and put in the grit and the resilience and all these different things for a year, 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
But eventually, the money always follows. Right. Mm-hmm. Money always follows anybody that is worthy of having it.
Yeah.
Anybody that goes out into the world and solves a big enough problem, does something big enough, makes a big enough statement. Is crazy enough to take some risk or to do some big. Whatever. Look, money's always going to be a byproduct of that, and I think, and the other one that I almost put was like money is a tool, right? And so it's like,
better answer,
right? But it's like but it's a byproduct, right?
Yeah,
and so it's like and just use it. Use it, right? It's just it's all it is, right? I think when you look at it, people get so caught up, and you look at the federal, look at the Fed, look at the U.S. They just print this crap. People, and Grant talks about it, right? Grant's like, everybody talks about they want to make money, and he'll go off on like the tangent of like, it's already been made, right? Like it's just you gotta figure out how to attract it, right, or whatever. But yeah, so I think people their energy is so focused on the money that I think if you just let it come to you, via doing other things, you'll find that it is just a byproduct.
There's such a good answer. I'm teaching a class come this week on the brand lab, where people fly in and we teach how to build a brand. And on building a brand, I always talk about a business and a brand. A business focuses on profit, and a brand focuses on purpose. And when you take a brand and you focus on purpose, and both will have each. Okay, so businesses will have purpose as well, and brands will have profit as well. But it's kind of like the 80-20 principle in business, right? So when you create a brand and you focus on purpose first, which is what you're talking about, I'm telling you, I guarantee that money is a byproduct of that.
100%.
Because when you drive as hard as you can, and I'm not saying it's easy, but when you drive through of whatever that purpose is that you have, and normally that purpose is always about giving back. It's something where you're helping. I don't mean just giving back like giving money back. I mean, you're helping solve someone else's problems. And especially right now, the platform of social media, you can get on there and help solve and answer questions for people.
Unbelievable.
And it's amazing because through that, of delivering on the purpose that you have, a byproduct
Sure.
of that, I guarantee you, will be profit.
Sure, and even if you're on social media entertaining, you're solving a problem.
It doesn't matter.
People need to
Exactly.
be entertained.
Exactly. It doesn't mean it has to be educational
Right?
based.
No.
It
So I
doesn't
think people get
freaking
all
mean.
jacked up in their brain. It's like, oh, I gotta provide. It's like, no, you don't have to teach people how to do
No.
math.
No.
You gotta, Logan Paul.
Yep.
He's solving a problem.
Yep.
People want to be entertained.
Yep, for
he
sure.
does dumb stuff, stupid stuff
Yeah.
in his house all day, every day.
Yep.
Swings from the freaking chandelier.
Yep.
And people love that, right? And therefore, that's a problem.
Because
Maybe
he's-
that particular person watching that, maybe that they would be doing something really bad if they
Mm-hmm.
weren't doing that. Maybe they would be doing drugs, or they would be this, that, or the third. But instead, they're entertained. They're at home. They're in a safe environment.
sure.
You just never know, right?
Yeah. And
So-
because of that, there's a byproduct of that
Sure.
that
It's
he
money.
has, which is money.
Right.
I totally agree that money is a byproduct of fulfilling your
100%.
purpose, dude.
For
That
sure.
is a freaking great answer. I'm going to use that on Friday.
I love it.
At my brand
I love
lab.
it. Yep.
I guarantee you, I will take full credit for it, and I will give you none of it in return.
For sure.
Okay. Just I
No
want to be
problem.
very clear
Yep.
about this.
I'm sure somebody else has said it before me.
Very
so
clear. It would be
I'm
my,
taking full credit
my,
for it now, right?
My average there.
keep it going.
Dude, awesome freaking show. I love having you guys on. We're gonna have a crazy dinner tonight, dude, and we're
It's
gonna
gonna be
talk
awesome,
about
man.
business.
I'm excited.
And I want to drive TikTok and branding and
Yeah.
marketing. Again, for the ATM business, they should just hit you up
Just
on
hit us
your
up, yeah.
Instagram. You're at
At Austin Zaback.
at Austin Zaback,
Yep.
and then your partner is at the Austin Lewis.
That's exactly right.
Is where they go to hit you up on the
Yep.
ATM business, and as well as real estate and so
Sure.
forth. If you
Anything,
guys have
yeah.
any questions, you guys are happy to help them out. Man, freaking, I love that you lead with purpose on all your stuff. Like, it's so freaking cool, man. I love having you guys on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. This is Austin Zaback from Scottsdale, Arizona. We'll see you next week on the Money Is Show.